Hi, what's up? Maybe you're wondering why I'm dressed like this. Like, why am I wearing like dress shoes? And it's because I just photographed a wedding, an intimate wedding, which is so much fun. But as I was prepping for the wedding today and packing my gear, I thought it'd be nice to chat about the wedding photography gear that I use to photograph weddings and maybe give you some insight into why I have the gear that I have. So that's what this video is going to be about today. Before we get into the gear that I actually use, I'm going to show you some of my work, some of the amazing couples that I've had the privilege of photographing over the years. And after that, we'll get into the gear. Cue that intro of photos. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. That's just some of my work. I have been photographing weddings for 7, 8 years now, and it's incredible that this is my career, this is my job. And although, as I've shared in various videos now, I see my career changing and evolving in recent years with doing more commercial work, but nonetheless, weddings are very much still my bread and butter. They're the thing that I would still describe myself as far as what type of photographer I am, mainly, and it's wedding photography. Let's get into some of the gear that I use for weddings. My gear is so much more built now around functionality and ease of use. Will it get me the images that I need? That's kind of the base premise of why I have what I have. So let's just get started with what I use to carry my cameras. I have a Holdfast Moneymaker. This is a dual camera strap. A dual camera harness strap. This is just a cool camera strap that allows me to hold 2 camera bodies on me at all times. I bring this to any wedding that I'm gonna photograph. And the reason why I use this is because as opposed to having 1 camera on me where I'm just swapping lenses in and out constantly, this allows me to have 2 camera bodies on me where I have 2 different focal lengths. Therefore, I don't have to always swap lenses in and out. Next is this Ona, I think it's the Bari bag, but it's an Ona bag. I've had this for a few years now. It's aging really well, and this is also with me on every wedding day. So I normally have this around my shoulder across my chest, and in this bag I usually have another lens, flash, and extra batteries, and then I always keep my SD cards in this along with my phone and my car keys. This never leaves my side. This is always on my shoulder, and then that Holdfast Moneymaker is over my shoulder. So those 2 things are always slinged across my back and shoulders throughout the entirety of a wedding day. Is this interesting so far? I hope so. So the thing that actually carries my camera gear is this right here. It is a Pelican 1510. I've had this for 6 years now, almost 7 years, and it's traveled with me to a lot of weddings, a lot of destination work around the world, and obviously a lot of weddings here in Chicago and in the Midwest. This is the camera case that I've trusted to carry all my gear. A couple of the reasons why I chose this one is, one, it's, I don't know how to describe this, hard plastic, but it's really hard. So I'm never worried about banging it up and my gear not being protected. But the other reason is there are actually 2 slots here for locks, which is great because when I'm at a wedding, whether it's at the reception or even at the hotel, when I'm not by this Pelican, I always lock it up. But otherwise, this is the case that I've opted to use for almost 6 years now, and I'm incredibly happy with it. All right, so let's just start with the camera bodies first. As you guys maybe know, I am a Canon shooter, and I've made a couple videos now on the Canon R6, but that's actually the camera I'm using right now to film myself. Can't show you that camera, but I also have a Canon EOS R. This is my B cam, or my secondary camera, and eventually I will upgrade this to the R6, but for now it still serves its purpose. It's a great camera, but the R6 and the R are the camera bodies that I use for all of my work. Let's get into lenses now, because I know that a lot of people, this is typically what they care about. Right off the bat, actually it's the one on the R6 filming right now, but it's the Canon 16-35. I will occasionally bring it out if I'm in a really tight space at a wedding. I'll even bring it out for reception dance photos just because it allows that really wide perspective. All right, the next lens is the Tamron 24-70. More than anything, more than like the price of the lens, I cared more about just trying out this focal length. And although I bought this lens at first for primarily my commercial work, I had no intention of using it for weddings, but I will actually bring it out for weddings. And I actually took this to the wedding today, the backyard wedding that I photographed. And it was nice because I just had a 35 and this, and it was really nice to be able to have some flexibility as far as not being so obtrusive at a wedding, but being able to just kind of stay further back and zoom back and forth. Yeah, this is a lens that surprisingly I've been enjoying using at weddings. All right, the next lens is a Canon 35mm 1.4. It is actually the Mark 1, so it's a little older. Actually, it's a lot older, but this is like the lens that I've built my entire career on. This is a lens that I got very early on when I really started photographing weddings. It's the perfect all-around lens, in my opinion. It's so flexible. The focal length is not too wide, it's not too tight. It's just butter. This lens is like, it's just, I love this lens. All right, let's talk about this guy. This is the 51.2, another incredible portrait lens. I would actually say that this is my favorite lens, except that it's not the most flexible. So from a functionality perspective, it's not the one that I'll always go for first, but if I'm only doing portraits and I have a lot of space, this is the lens I'm gonna grab, just because the bokeh on it is incredible. Love this lens. I'll probably never get rid of it unless I upgrade to the RF series. This is a beautiful lens that I love so much, and it's great. Let's talk about this lens. This is the 85mm 1.2. Again from Canon. I'm basically saying I love all my lenses, but I really do enjoy this lens. This lens, one of the downsides of it is it's a little slow to focus. It's not the best at focusing, especially in low light, but when you nail focus, the separation that you get from the background and your subject is incredible. It just renders bokeh so well. This is truly like, it really gives like a very dreamy, buttery image. Does that sound gross? Buttery? Butter? It's beautiful though. Like, I love this lens for portraits. This is a lens that's actually probably on me all day at a wedding day on one of my bodies, just because it gives me enough reach to capture some of those intimate moments without actually being up in their face. But it's so great for portraits. It's great for receptions. It's great for catching little moments where, again, I don't have to be right up in the action, but I really enjoy this lens. Okay, this lens is the last lens I'm going to talk about. This is the Canon 24mm tilt shift. This is a really cool lens. This lens I initially got for my interior photography work, which I still use for interiors, but I've definitely brought this with me on wedding days. And the reason why is because you're able to get some really unique photos with this. I'll share some images here, as I have been with all these lenses. Although it's not the most practical lens for all situations, I do love to have it on me for specifically portraits of couples. And especially when I have enough time, I'll usually make sure I get my money shots on like the 35, on the 50, on the 85. But when there's a little bit of that extra time to get that little extra juice, I bring this lens out, and it's so much fun. The images that you're able to get on a tilt shift are incomparable, honestly. This is a lens that comes with me on all weddings, but it's a really unique and fun lens to use. But when there's a good light and I have enough time, I love to bring this out for portraits. Okay, so we've talked about the things I use to carry my cameras, the camera bodies themselves, and the lenses. Let's talk a little bit about the other stuff that I bring that are also with me on a wedding day. So let's start with the flashes. I actually own a few of them, like 3 or 4. I have shot so many different brands over the years, and time again, I just use these really affordable Yongnuos. This is a YN 562 and this is a Mark IV. The reason why I use these over the Canon ones isn't because these are better. They're certainly not better. In my opinion, flash is completely contingent on the skill of the photographer understanding how to use flash. And I have seen over the years, especially my progression of using flash, that if you don't understand how to use flash, it doesn't matter what flash system you have, the images aren't going to look great. I use these because they are really affordable, and I don't mind banging them, I don't mind dropping them, I don't mind beating them up, because again, I want to be less concerned about, will this thing, like, I don't want to break this expensive thing and have to replace it, but I don't care. And I've had these for years now and I've had no issues with them. Enjoy them a lot. So these, I always have 2 flashes on me for every wedding day. And then I've got a bunch of AA batteries that I have for my flashes. I've got a bunch of different things here as far as attachments for tripods and all that kind of stuff. And then right here, I've got all of my batteries for my cameras. And it's really nice because when I moved from the 5D3 to the 5D4 to the R, now the R6, the batteries have always stayed the same. Although that maybe sounds like it's not a big deal, it's been really nice to not have to invest in new batteries every single time I've upgraded cameras. I've got earplugs. I was told early on when I moved here that I should get some earplugs, and I was like, why would I need earplugs? But my friends are showing that because receptions are so loud and we attend so many of them, just to protect our hearing, to wear earplugs during receptions. So I always have earplugs on me. If you see me at a wedding, you're gonna see me at a reception with the earplugs on. I'll always take them off when I'm talking to someone, but once the music starts and dancing gets going, these are always in my ears. I'm not gonna pull it up, but in here I also have a lens blower and then lens wipes, so that especially when it's raining, I can always keep my gear clean and the lenses clean. And then I always have Tide pens on me because you just never know. And I've actually had multiple weddings where these have come in handy to take something off a dress or a groom's suit jacket or shirt. That's really helpful. Low key, this is like my secret. All right, so this is maybe embarrassing, but honestly, it's like a lifesaver. I always have Pepto-Bismol on me, and one of my largest fears as a wedding photographer is when the ceremony is about to start and I just have to go poo. Like I have to go number 2. I have to go to the bathroom. Like that would be a nightmare for me. And although most of my couples and collections and weddings do warrant having a second photographer with me, that's not always the case with every wedding. So that's like my worst nightmare, that I'm at a wedding by myself, a ceremony's about to start, and then I just have to like run to the bathroom. So Pepto-Bismol is always on me. Whenever my stomach feels kind of funky, which is honestly very rare, but if it ever feels funky, then I pop a Pepto-Bismol, I feel much better. But for all of you, if you do photograph weddings, I would carry some Pepto-Bismol on you because it could be a lifesaver. All right, that's it. Hopefully this was helpful. This is all the wedding gear that I bring with me on a typical wedding day. And again, the gear is always changing for me, but for the most part, this is pretty consistent as far as what I bring. Like and subscribe. That would help me a ton. I would love to keep making videos like this. So if you're interested on more gear stuff, reviews, wedding photography specifically, I'd be more than happy to talk about that stuff. You guys just let me know. Otherwise, I will see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye.